Well, good afternoon, everyone. Delighted to have Robin Grable here today. She's with Talents Ascend. I know we normally do this on a Thursday, the third Thursday of the month. However, I've been asked to speak in person in Delaware, so I will be heading down there. So I invited Robin to see if she could come on Wednesday. So we will return to our normally scheduled time on the third Thursday of the month at 12:30 next month. So let's start this Rocktoberfest here for Recruiter on Call with Jobs. And I'm going to introduce myself, and then I will have Robin introduce herself. So, my name is Lynne Williams. I'm in the suburbs of Philadelphia, Paoli, Pennsylvania, to be specific, and I wear three basic hats. Hat number one is I write resumes and LinkedIn profiles. Hat number two, I run a 501c3 nonprofit called Great Careers Network, and we run about 18 to 25 events a month, and this is one of them. So, we'll do things typically online so we could reach people all over the place. And hat number three, I am also um, working on, or maybe I should say, I should be working on my doctoral dissertation on the topic of LinkedIn. So, over to Robin. Tell us about you and how long have you been a recruiter?
Well, thanks, Lynn. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with your audience and talk about my favorite subject, skills first hiring and recruiting. So I am a Navy veteran. I served in the Navy for 9 years, and I'm also the founder of Talents Ascend, which is a for-profit company. It's where our AI sits, where we do our skills translation and matching. I'm also the founder of the Ascend Collective, which is a 501c3, where we create skills first career pathways for veterans, military spouses, diversely abled people, and justice impacted, really advocating for their skills. We believe talent is defined by potential, not where they've been. So we're all about that. And I'm in South Carolina.
All right. So you have two companies then?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes. Yeah.
So what kind of trends do you see happening in the job search world and the hiring landscape today? Is it a little weird out there right now compared to past times?
Oh, it's very weird. But I would say it probably started being weird after COVID. And COVID did a lot of horrible things, but it also did a lot of good things, I think, in my opinion, for the hiring landscape, especially for underserved talent. Because employers were scrambling to find people. They had to change their way of thinking about how they look at talent. And that's what we're all about. We've been about that since 2018 when we started. And we're all about that. So I think the trends right now, one of the big things for people looking to find a new career is networking. You can't just apply blindly online anymore. It just doesn't work. I mean, you're going to spend a lot of time just applying, rewriting that resume, rewriting that application, all those things. That's time consuming. Spend that time networking with people in an industry that you're looking at or people that are working at a company that you're interested in. It's really about you getting out and finding people who can connect you to those opportunities. And so that's a trend. The other trend, I'm grateful that it's starting to take some traction here, is skills first hiring and really looking at the potential people bring to the table. In fact, I just wrote an article about this on LinkedIn today, and Snoop Dogg was on The Voice last night, which I love The Voice because it's all about skills. Blind auditions, you don't see anything about the person except the skills that they can sing, and I love that. But Snoop Dogg on the episode last night said it's not about what you did last, it's about what you can do now. So it's really, I mean, it's skills first hiring is really where the companies should go, primarily for small businesses too, because you're missing out on so much great talent out there. And, you know, people that are applying for jobs, you always think about the big companies. Look at small businesses too, because they're out there. There's 99% of the businesses in the US are small to medium-sized businesses.
So is a lot of fractional hiring going on, or is it more, full time?
I haven't seen as much fractional activity in, the worker bee ranks or non-management or non-executive roles. I think fractional, in my experience and what I've seen recently, is that a fractional marketing person or a fractional salesperson, even perhaps, but the bigger companies aren't doing, fractional work. They're hiring people. One, because they've got the money. Two, they want to fill a seat quickly, which isn't always good for you out there looking for a career. Don't jump to just filling that seat because it may not be the right fit for you. But smaller companies are doing fractional work because honestly, as a small business, I don't need a full-time marketing person. I don't need a full-time, whatever. I need like a full-time accountant. I need, fractional work. So I think it's more in the executive roles or more in roles that you don't need a full-time person in. But I don't see that in the, the day-to-day, really people who are getting the job done.
So it's October.
Yes.
And I think, like you mentioned, networking. And I think the next couple months are like put the pedal to the metal on the networking, because aren't budgets clearing for 2026 and people are starting to interview and hire now? Are you getting recs for 2026?
Absolutely. So it's always that time of year when other things slow down, but hiring starts to pick up because the new budgets usually kick in for a company in January 1st. So they want to be ready. If they've got the money to spend, they want to know they're spending it on January 1st, not January 15th. If you need to give a 2-week notice, or January 30th, right? They want to be ready for that. And that it affords recruiters and HR teams and talent acquisition teams, when the slowdown on other things because of the holidays, they've got more time to focus on hiring. So networking, right now is time to ramp it up. Find events that you can go to, even if they're online or virtual. There's so many events out there where you can actually talk to recruiters, actually talk to other employers. So start networking now. Get ready for January.
So Kevin Turner says Lynne Williams. Lisa says Lynne Williams. Absolutely, because Kevin Turner said Lynne Williams rocks. I think Kevin Turner rocks.
Oh,
hey,
all right.
folks, if you are not following Kevin Turner, you need to be, because he's got all the latest and the greatest updates on LinkedIn. And I am a fangirl, and he knows that. One of these days, I'm going to fly to Dallas when there's an Eagles game, and he and I are going to wear different shirts, and that's okay. We can still play nice in the same sandbox. So let's talk about resumes.
Yes.
What advice do you have for job seekers for crafting an effective resume that stands out?
Well, I first say don't write them. I know that's not what you want to hear, Lynn, as a resume writer. We do not use a resume in our platform. It's all about skills for us and matching those skills to employers. So we don't use a resume. What I would say, a couple of things. Try to leave off any information where a person can immediately make a discriminatory perception about you. Dates. Especially your high school dates, if you're in the age of, I went to high school and, long time ago, because discrimination is out there. They don't like you to say it. They don't like you to say that it's going on, but it is. And it's inherent in people to look for something wrong with you first before they can look at what's right with you, because that's how they've been trained, unfortunately. Make the quickest decision. And the quickest decision is to say, what's wrong with this person? Get them off my pile. So they're going to look for something that's wrong with you. So try to leave out anything that could give somebody an impression that they shouldn't hire you. Then I would say focus on your skills. Again, demonstrating what you can do for that company or what you can do for that role that you're interested in versus what you've done in the past, because that it just really doesn't matter. That company wants to know what you can do for me. How are you going to make my life easier if I hire you? How are you going to make me shine because I hired a star employee? You may have been a star at your other employer, or you may have been on performance plan. No way for me to know that. but I need to know if you're going to do a good job for me and if you're going to be dedicated to me. So make that clear, right? And I don't know, Lynn, if you agree with this, but I think writing resumes from the perspective of who's reading it is really important, because I can talk about myself all day and how great I am and all the things that I've done and all this and that. But if I'm presenting it to somebody who doesn't care that I spent 9 years in the Navy, or doesn't care that I was this or that or the other, none of that matters. They're going to look to something that they can find that they resonate with. The other thing about resumes, as you probably tell your clients, Lynn, is that HR recruiters have about 6 seconds. They spend about 6 seconds looking at that resume.
Yep.
They're going to try to find something that in that 6 seconds that they can latch onto that says, yep, move you to the next part of the process. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I have things that I agree with, and then I have alternate perspectives.
Yeah. Of course.
Of course, it makes the world go round. So yes, I absolutely agree that people need to show how they can solve the problems, take the pain points away.
Yeah.
And so I'm really big on metrics, dollars, numbers, and percents in each of the bullet points. Hey, if you did it in the past, it is projected that you can do it in the future. And the top half of the first page of the resume, that's that 6 seconds.
Absolutely.
That headline. You don't want the word profile summary. You want to say, hey, I'm HR, I'm marketing, I'm IT. Like, tell us what you are when you want what you want to be when you grow up. Just kind of like a LinkedIn headline.
Yeah.
Very short profile summary paragraph. For me, like 5 lines or less. If it goes more than that, to me, it's too much, and people aren't going to read it. People's eyes will glaze over.
Exactly.
And then I put keywords in 3 columns in alphabetical order. Now, I have to change that for the applicant tracking system. But if you see those skills there, what's processing, I think, in your head is, ooh, must-haves, nice-to-haves. Oh, he, she also has, right? And then, maybe I get into a hybrid section of the resume called career highlights. Again, keywords like sweet spots, but with some accomplishments. And then I go to the professional experience, of course, in reverse chron order. Now, you mentioned something about age. So in my doctoral research, part of something I came across was something called a digital footprint. Now, I know it takes time for you to find out, if you really wanted to, what year somebody went to high school, what year somebody graduated college, if they went to college, etc. And therefore, I don't know, I'm all about keeping the dates on, because anybody can find that digital footprint of you if they really, really wanted to. So I leave it up to the clients. I put it on the resume and I say, it's there. It's up to you whether you want to leave it on or take it off. You have to do you. You're the one that's applying to jobs.
Sure.
But just know that there's a digital footprint out there. You put that out on the internet sometime, some way, shape, or form, and it's there. So
I agree with you to a certain extent. I think it's a matter of whether or not the HR person or the recruiter or the talent acquisition person will take the time to find that digital footprint versus if they see a date. So I graduated high school in 1979 and then I went in the Navy. Like that immediately tells them how old I am, versus then I put Richmond High School on my resume and they have to search for me, so there's a little bit of work they have to do in order to find that date, right? So that's where I would say, don't make it too easy for them to discriminate against you.
Yep. All right. That's fair. That's fair. I'm older than you. I graduated high school in 76, so I'm about to have my 50-year high school reunion next year. Can you believe that? Oh my gosh, 50 years. How about that? This Saturday, I'm actually working a registration table for the class of 75, who's having their 50-year reunion, so that all the 75ers can go enjoy the event while the 76ers are sort of taking care of the registration table. Cool. So, all right, let's talk about LinkedIn and personal branding. Ooh. Do you review LinkedIn profiles? And what's your overall take on what you see?
Yeah, I do. And I certainly, if I get a connection request, I'm looking at the person. If I don't readily know them, or I don't see that we have a lot of mutual connections, or I didn't get a connection note. So notes are so important when you're connecting with people on LinkedIn. Just kind of tell them. I always say I'm a Navy veteran and the founder of the Ascend Collective. Something that connects the two of us when I'm sending a connection request. I think, there are millions of people on LinkedIn. I think it is definitely the platform for networking and finding those connections that can help you in a career change. But you got to be careful, of course, with anything on the internet. So do your research, be careful of who you're connecting with or who you're sending a connection request to. Make sure there's a reason. The other thing about LinkedIn too is it's not just, hey, I have 10,000 connections, look at me go. It's about how meaningful those connections actually are and how well you're using them to either help the person that you're connecting to with or asking them for guidance or help back. So make them meaningful connections. But absolutely, I'm on LinkedIn every day, like hours each day, because that's really where I find clients, I find candidates, and you make that networking for us. So yeah, LinkedIn is very, very important.
Do you have LinkedIn Recruiter, LinkedIn Recruiter Lite, or do you rely on Boolean searches, or two of the above?
Yeah, we're a small business, so we really just rely on those Boolean searches. And I do have Sales Navigator, so I do use that from a sales perspective. But from a candidate perspective, we're just doing searches and finding people.
All right. And so you're putting in keywords? Is that
Yes.
your magic? Okay. See,
Absolutely.
that's my secret sauce is what I
Yeah.
do. I have different strategies for keywords for resumes and LinkedIn profiles, and it's quite a process that I make my clients go through. They have to do the work
Yeah.
because they have to have their own aha moments and do their own self discovery and find out, well, what's going on in LinkedIn's database and what's going on in the words that are in the typical job descriptions that I want to apply to, and what are my skills, what's my vernacular that's coming out of my mouth that
Yeah.
I use in my industry. And it's it's kind of a mix and match of this, that, and the other thing. So what role does personal branding play in that hiring process, and how do you think candidates can enhance their online presence? How would it help you to find them?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say is take all those, college spring break pictures off of your. They're still out there, unfortunately, but take all those off. If you truly are trying to brand yourself as a professional or someone you want a company to trust, and you really want to build a career somewhere, you've got to present that image and across all of your social medias. That doesn't mean that you can't have fun, that you can't be shown, pictures of, with you at Fiji and the beach. That's not the thing. But if that doesn't present an image you would show people at work, that you would show your boss or the president of the company, then it shouldn't be on social media if you don't want it to be looked at. Now, there are laws out there that recruiters and talent acquisition cannot judge you on your social media, but proving that they did that is the other side of that coin. So it happens. They're going to look you up.
That's that digital footprint.
Absolutely. They are going to look you up. They're going to look at Facebook. They're going to look at LinkedIn. They're going to try to find you to see what image you're portraying to the public. And do they want that representing their company? Again, when you think about when you're working with a recruiter, and Lynn, again, you probably tell your clients this, you've got to make them look good. They're trying to find a person who's going to make them look good. Because they're trying to get promoted, or they don't want to lose their job, because at the end of the day, if you don't perform or you end up not being the right fit, me, the recruiter, I pay the price for that.
Yeah.
So it's a gamble, but you have to, your digital footprint. I know the young Gen Zs and millennials and all those out there just want to put all their fun stuff out on social media, but it's not the place for it when you start building a career.
Can the red cups Yep. No,
Yes.
no, yes, not red cups, especially if you're under 21. That's for sure.
Oh gosh.
So I'm going to give a big shout out to Scott Boudreau. Scott, here are my 3 envelopes going to the post office. Scott just helped me with my tax return as he has for the past couple years. And yeah, it's that, extension day. So we got that done. So right when we get done here at 1:30, I'm running to the post office, mailing this, coming back, and I have a 2 o'clock. So there you go.
Awesome. I was stationed with Lieutenant Boudreau in Pearl Harbor. So
How
that's
about
awesome.
that?
I haven't seen that name in a while.
Yeah. So even though Scott's in New Jersey, he still takes care of me in Pennsylvania. So yeah.
Very nice.
Appreciate your help, Scott. All right. So if you need your taxes done, he's a good person to contact. All right. Let's talk about interview prep. How can job seekers best prepare for interviews as a candidate that you're going to submit? And do you assist in any way, shape, or form with interview prep?
Yeah. I think the key word there is preparation. You have to be prepared for the interview. You can't just go in thinking that, again, it's all about you. It's not all about you. It's all about the person who's interviewing you. It's all about the company that's interviewing you. So you need to do your research. You need to know what that company stands for. Because the flip side of that is, if you don't know what that company stands for, is it a right fit for you? You need to determine whether or not the company, just because you're getting an interview, doesn't mean it's the right place for you to get a career. So do your research, be prepared, learn something about the company that you can bring up in an answer that, to a question. Oh, I see, this, you've got this initiative, or the company is a green company. I totally resonate with that. So just things like that can, again, help that recruiter see how you fit into their organization. The other thing I would say is you have to have questions. The thing that drives me crazy is when I interview people and I say, okay, what questions do you have for me? And they're like, I think you answered them all. How could I have possibly answered all the questions you should have? You want to know what, for one of the questions I love to ask is this a new position, or is this a replacement for someone? Is the team growing? How did this open position come about? Because that gives you a little bit of understanding about the team dynamics. So you have to have questions prepared, even if it's just a couple, and write them down. And it's okay in the interview to say, I have some questions prepared. Can I look at my list? Because that shows them you came to the interview prepared, right?
Yeah.
So definitely do that.
And honestly, it takes 10 seconds.
Yes.
You put the job search in ChatGPT, or the job posting in ChatGPT, and say, I'm a candidate going to an interview for this job. What question should I ask? Bada bing, bada boom. It spits out questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have an article that I will have to share in the chat when we get all done, actually later in between my calls and whatnot. But it's, if you go to greatcareers.org and you type in AI or interview in the top right, you will see an article. It's a really comprehensive article. Like, it took me a very long time to write, many, many hours.
Wow.
It's all about answering star stories for interviews, and there's like 49 soft skills, transferable skills listed, all alphabetically or in alphabetical order. And I put in some questions that people could ask, like just in general, but you can, take those questions, or you can, customize it using ChatGPT. And honestly, there's no excuse why somebody would not have questions these days.
None, absolutely. And we, on our website too, the ascendcollective.org, we've got 53 interview tips and 53 interview questions. So there's a lot of good resources out there as well, but definitely be prepared. You have to do your homework.
All right. I'm going to give another shout out to Lisa Vitale Hess. I had the pleasure of meeting her in July when I went to Michigan for the I forget exactly what it was called, Entrepreneur Summit or something like that. And she was so helpful, and she did all our setup and organizing. So anybody needs anybody who is, an event and community outreach coordinator, there she is. She's in the suburbs of Detroit.
Nice.
All right, let's talk about common interview questions. What are the typical interview questions candidates should be prepared to ask or answer?
To answer, yeah, that's a great question. I have weird questions that I ask because I really try to get to know the person. I want you to tell me about yourself. I want to know, what brought you to want to do this interview today. Where are you in your career that led you to be at this point in your career change? I like to hear the story about that. I also, will ask what interested you about our company. What interested you about this particular position? Again, doing your research and all those things, those are perfect opportunities to talk about what you've learned. I don't ask, the question is, what are your strengths and weaknesses? I absolutely do not like that question. It puts people on edge. Like I have to be good or bad. No, I'm me. I want to be me. And these are my skills. So what I would say is when you get questions like that make you feel uncomfortable or awkward, focus on your skills. Turn it into how you can talk about your skills. So that's, and I don't know if there's any real common questions now. I think it really depends on the company and the recruiters. Again, I try to ask questions to really get to understand where a person is and where they want to go, so that whether or not this particular role is the right fit for them.
Gotcha. So another shout out to Katie Kelly, who is in my area, in the greater Philadelphia area. She's an HR professional, and we've met, and she's been a member of the Great Careers Network for quite some time. And she's been very helpful, to our 501c3 nonprofit. So I hope that she finds her next opportunity. All right, let's talk about skills and qualifications. What are the most sought after skills and qualifications for candidates right now? So you were talking about skills being really prevalent, probably over education. Yes, it's more skills, certifications. So tell us what those magic skills are.
Yeah. So obviously it depends on the position. Obviously, if there's a maintenance position, they're looking for maintenance skills. But what I would say is focus on your soft skills. A lot of times you don't think about your soft skills, leadership, teamwork, adaptability. Those are things that traverse any career, any company, and people want to know how you demonstrate those skills, or how you've used those skills, or how you see yourself using those skills. So focus on because your technical skills will be easy for you to talk about. Yep, I'm a mechanic. I worked on heavy equipment. I've got those are easy. We don't always focus on our soft skills because it's sometimes uncomfortable to talk about ourselves like that. When you're technical, it's like, this is what I can do, but this is who I am. I'm adaptable, and even talk about, I'm an introvert. So this position working in your back office is absolutely perfect for me because I'm detail oriented. All those soft skills, think about those. And we also don't, as humans, don't take it inventory on our soft skills. It's easy to say, I have a certification in AI machine learning. I have a certification in cybersecurity. That's not who you are. Who you are is the person that has motivation and persistence and resilience and all those things that make you a star employee, because the company may need you to do more than cybersecurity. They may ask you to work on a project that requires you to be a leader of that team. So they're going to need to know you have those leadership skills. So I'd say focus on your soft skills. Obviously know what your technical skills are. Now, for us, we typically work with construction companies, AI companies, software companies, IT companies. So they're looking for those specific, technical skills.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also, what we try to help them focus on too is those soft skills. Think about the person that can do the work today, but as your business grows, they can grow with you with the soft skills that they have.
Yeah, I love that. Many hard skills can be taught.
Yes,
Not everything, but many can be taught,
absolutely.
especially, softwares and
Yeah,
whatnot, if they're the basic softwares.
yeah,
But people do hire for soft skills. So you have to have those interpersonal skills to be able to work with people on teams. Even if you are an individual contributor, you still have to work with people,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. And I would say practice them too. You know, identify what your strong soft skills are, and then practice talking about them, whether it's to yourself in the mirror or to a friend, a family member, whatever, but or a mentor. Practice talking about them so it becomes natural in your conversation.
All right. So now is my time for a quick commercial break. So I want to say who this event is sponsored by. First, it's the 501c3 nonprofit, greatcareers.org. I'm the executive director of that organization. We are volunteer run, and we're always looking for volunteers and some board of directors positions to be filled. We run about 18 to 25 events a month, and we have a meetup that has over 8,200 members on it. We've been around since 2010. I didn't start it, two other guys started it, but I took it over in 2015. So, yeah, it's been 10 years as of August. So, um, and also the Thought Leadership Branding Club, which is thoughtleadershipbranding.club. If you take a look at the events page, you will see there are all kinds of events on Clubhouse and Zoom and LinkedIn Live that are applicable to job seekers. But it is, for me, a wonderful group as an entrepreneur, where we have tech clinics and LinkedIn clinics and coaching calls. And we have a weekly masterclass, which people can attend twice for free without paying. And those are just wonderful. Bobby Umar is the founder, and he gets amazing speakers because he's a LinkedIn top voice. So um, you get to talk about your company at the end. So let's talk about your job openings that you are trying to fill. Where are they located? And do you have any remote jobs?
Yeah. So we've got a couple of cybersecurity analyst remote positions. So those are really great. A lot more of those coming because we've got some partnerships happening with those. We've got a pool technician, pool repair position down in Houston, Texas. Those are the highlighted ones. And then we've got a painting company in Columbia, South Carolina, looking for great talent. We've got other construction companies looking for either a construction manager or laborers to learn the construction industry. We always have those because there's just so many construction companies looking for great talent. We've got a couple of healthcare positions open, more administrative. We don't work with nurse positions because they're very, very easy for the military anyway to come out of the military and get those positions. But we work with a lot of small businesses. And as I mentioned before, 99% of the businesses in the US are small to medium sized. And a lot of people, especially military or career changers, think, oh, I gotta work for a big company, or I've got to go apply for a big company because they've got so many openings. And it's easier to get in. Not true. So look for those small companies that can help you. But yeah, we're a national company, so we work with employers all across the U.S. And remote positions as well. So
Awesome. Well, believe it or not, I was in the construction industry for, I think, 14 years.
wow.
First was ceramic tile.
Mm,
And I earned a certification of a CTC, ceramic tile consultant. Um,
nice.
so I did that for 10 years, and I was a Western regional sales manager. I called on architects, builders, developers,
Wow.
designers, and whatnot. And let me tell you, Hawaii was not too bad to go to.
Yes.
I definitely
Yes.
like that little business trip. I went there 3 times on business.
Nice.
And then I married a man who was a project manager. He was from Toronto. I married a Canadian, and he came out to San Francisco, and he worked for a construction company, and then we moved down to Southern California, to Orange, and we started a general contracting firm because I was like 8 months pregnant. He came home one day, he says, I quit my job. I'm like, you what? And he says, I quit my job. I'm like, hello? We have a baby coming and we have mortgages and I'm not working and blah, blah, blah. So he says, I'm going to get a general contracting license. So sure enough, he did. He got his general contracting license. He was a very smart man. And he came home one day and he says, I got a $2,500 contract. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's a start. It wasn't 2,500. It was 2.5 million. Yeah. So booyah. Here we are. We started at home and worked at home. And then we had to go get an office. And then we had to get a nanny because baby number 2 came and all that good stuff. But we actually wound up doing 5 to 7 million a year. We had 24 employees.
Congratulations.
And I still have the corporate seal and all the corporate papers, in my basement. And sadly, he became an ex-husband, sadly, and but he also sadly died of leukemia at age 54.
Oh my!
But I learned a lot about liens and all kinds of construction terms and whatnot on the job experience.
Yeah.
So those are those hard skills that I learned, on the job, but you have to have the soft skills. So I love the construction industry.
I do too. I love the transformation of things and seeing things be built and grow. So yeah, I love it.
All right. So, what tips do you have for job seekers to reach out to you for an initial introduction?
Yeah. So LinkedIn, you can connect with me on LinkedIn or send me a message on LinkedIn. Certainly, Robin J. Grable on LinkedIn. Our website, you can contact us through our website, theascendcollective.org or talentsascend.com, either one. Our email address is on there and our contact, page is on there. Just reach out and let us know what you're looking for. We do have what we call a Northern Compass Academy in our nonprofit that you can join. It's free. It'll take you through personal branding as one of the modules that we go through and kind of help you think about those foundational things. But yeah, just reach out. We're happy to help.
And by the way, folks, Robin is coming to speak to Great Careers Network in November. And I didn't pull that up. Let me see if I can get that date. Okay. Here it is, November 12th at 2:30 p.m. She's going to be on Zoom. And just because I've been in Canada for the past 4 days celebrating Canadian Thanksgiving, I'm a little bit behind in entering all my November stuff. I was so happy to get October done. But I will get that off and on our schedule very soon. So do you remember your title off the top of your head?
It probably has something to do with skills first. I'm sure.
Okay.
So
all right.
I don't.
You know what? I'm also involved in DVVC.org, Delaware Valley Veterans Consortium.
Yes.
And that is like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. And I'm pretty sure I put the title on the DVVC. Yeah, here it is. Creator Catalyst for Change and Purpose Pioneer for Talent.
Okay.
So that's the title that you gave me, and I did put it in one place. So there we go. I'm
Cool.
sort of on it, but I got a little bit behind because you can't do stuff on the computer when you're driving in a car, 8 hours north and whatnot. So I'm gonna
you've just been all over the place, Lynn.
Yeah, well, I'm getting ready to go see Mickey Mouse again. This will be my last vacation of the year.
Nice.
Next week. I have an annual pass, so I definitely am a Disney nerd, and I get to go with my 2 daughters and my 2 grandsons.
Aww.
Now, get a load of this. The 5-year-old, this is his 4th trip to Disney.
Wow.
Yeah. And the 23-month-old, this is his first trip to Disney.
Nice.
So Big Brother is going to show him the ropes.
That's awesome. We have a tradition. I took my daughter when she was 6 to Disney World, and then Epcot when she was 10. And so we created that tradition when she had kids. So we've taken 4 of her 5 to Disney on their 6th birthday, and then Epcot on their 10th birthday. So yeah, we're Disney, not annual passes, but we do get down there on those milestones.
So if we can go down, like at least 5 times a year and go to the parks 2, 3, or 4 days, we definitely,
Is it worth it?
get our
Yeah.
money's worth. Why? Because my daughter is a DVVC or DVC club, Disney Vacation Club. So
Mm,
we get the annual pass cheaper than the normal, average
sure.
everyday public.
Yeah.
And then I get to stay in her DVC accommodations, which are
Nice.
lovely. And if she runs out of points, then we just go to a hotel. But yeah, so we basically go down there for some sunshine, just get away from the computer and go to eat, drink, and make merry. And yeah, it's an awful lot of fun. And when the airlines have all these great deals for $39 flights and $51 flights, it's like, oh
Wow.
my gosh, it's like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what I'm worried about: air traffic control. I
Ooh.
hope we're not going to be hung up from Philadelphia to Orlando and back
Yeah.
with
Somebody at
what's going
my
on.
chief of staff is traveling today from Jacksonville, Florida to San Diego, and worried about the same thing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for Katie Kelly for the shout out for Great Careers Network. She's been involved for quite some time and really knows the value that we bring. We have some excellent speakers and we have networking, that we do online to really help job seekers. So, and then hello from Florida. Hi, Christy. Yeah, Christy is um, a longtime supporter of this event.
Awesome.
Okay, so if you have a candidate that you've submitted for a position, what tips can you offer job seekers for following up after an interview? Do they follow up with you or what? And how soon after?
Yeah, great question. So the one thing I would say about that, first of all, is be responsive. If you're applying for a position and you've had an interview or you're getting, trying to get lined up for an interview, be responsive, because that recruiter, I mean, like I have like just minutes to get you scheduled. And if I don't get you scheduled, I got to move on to the next person. So be responsive, and respond to emails, respond to text, respond to phone calls if you're in that career search mode. The other thing for follow up, I always communicate with my candidates. Either I will tell you the next steps, or you'll hear them directly from the hiring manager. So keep in touch with them. I also say you can always reach out to me if you have any questions, because then I can always communicate to the client. So yeah, communication. It's all about communication. I've had a candidate recently that was moving from Michigan to Columbia, and he kept having delays. One thing after another kept happening, and he wasn't communicating. I was like, you have to tell us what is happening. We can't just assume that you're still interested or you're available, or don't make us do the work, because if I have to work to get you a job, I'm not going to do it because I've got too many other things to achieve. My client wants a person to fill their position. If I have to wait on you to respond or wait on you to tell me what you're doing, you're going to miss out, unfortunately. So definitely be responsive. Definitely be on top of your follow up. Send follow up emails. Hey, first of all, thank you for the interview. You always want to send a handwritten note is great, but in today's world, when you don't know if they're working remote or if you're doing remote interviews, you can't always know
Yeah.
the address. But a follow-up email, thank you for your time. Really appreciate you spending time with me to help me learn more about the company, about the position, just something. Again, you want to make it so easy for that recruiter to say yes to you and not no.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to okay. I can't post the link in the chat for if anybody wants to come up on stage. It's not I'm going to try, but I don't I don't know. Do you see my? Oh yeah.
I do see it. Yeah, I see it in there.
It is coming up. Okay. So if there's anybody that wants to come up on stage and ask Robin questions, you have to click that Restream link. Oh, it says reload the page. Ooh, I hope I don't lose any of you. All
Haven't
right.
so far.
All right. I asked Katie Kelly. I don't know if you saw my LinkedIn message, Katie, if you could post that on there. And Merrill Cass is on, but he says that his messages are not coming up and he doesn't understand why. Okay, so we do have a couple questions here. Let's just get them answered. If they don't want to come up, let's see. Would somebody put the link for the Thought Leadership Branding Club in the chat? So it's thoughtleadershipbranding.club. I can put that in, and as a response a little bit later. And Scott wants to know where the 53 interview questions are, and from something you mentioned earlier.
Yep. I will pull up the link for that. I'll work on that right now and get that in the chat for you.
Okay. So Katie, I don't know what that particular link is. It's a link in LinkedIn messages that I sent you that has the Restream link, a studio.restream. Okay, maybe, I don't know if Scott can help out here. Somebody, hopefully. Let me see if I can find Scott. This takes a minute multitasking here. Bear with me. Oh my goodness.
There we go.
Somebody get it on?
Oh no, I found my link.
Okay. All right. So here is Scott. I'm just sending it to you. If you can put the Restream link in. Oh, Katie got it in. All right. Katie got it in. So yeah, if you want to come up on stage, then by all means, let us know. I think I can see how many people are coming in. I'm not like super proficient in this Restream, but I can get by. I can get by for sure.
I don't know how to put it in the chat. Where?
Yeah, it may have to wait. It's people who are live have difficulty with putting messages in. So, okay. So
if I put it in the private chat, Lynn, can you copy it and put it in?
I can actually, I'll put that into Scott, and Scott, maybe you can share that. I'll put it into Scott's LinkedIn messages, and maybe you can share that on the live chat here.
And if you go,
but we have a couple questions.
Yeah, Lynn, if Scott, if you go to the ascendcollective.org, there's the home button. There's a down arrow on the home link there, and it says career support. If you toggle to that page, that's where all of our resources are, and those interview questions are there. So,
all right. Okay, so we have a question from Missy, and how much is it an employer's market for the technical field? Ooh, that's a great question.
So, how much is there a market for technical field?
Is it more an employer's market versus an employee's market?
Oof. Yeah, probably in the technical field, it's probably more an employer's market at this point because there's so many people going into the technical fields, I would say, and you got to really figure out how you stand out. Not to say that the opportunities aren't out there, because even in cybersecurity, there are millions of jobs out there in cybersecurity that aren't being filled. So I think you just have to pick the right technical field that you want to go into and do your research on how many jobs are out there. And you've got the technical, Chat GPT and all the Googles and all of that at your disposal to figure out some of that information.
All right. I don't see anybody else wanting to come up on stage right now. And Katie Kelly did put the restream link in there. So let me ask a few more questions. Well, we'll
Okay.
see if anybody else does want to come up. What have I not asked you that you would like to share?
I think I would talk more about veterans and military spouses. They're near and dear to my heart. So I would tell you in your audience that if you are a veteran or military spouse, be proud of that. I know there's a lot of barriers that veterans face trying to get new careers when they get out of the service, military spouses with the gaps in their work history and lack of career progression that shows on a traditional resume. But still be proud of that. Because if you can't find a company who values you as a veteran or military spouse, you don't want to work for them. And that's just the bottom line. I know it's easy to say if you're in the midst of a career change and you need a job, I get it. But I would say you won't be happy there and you'll end up looking for another job anyway. So find a company that values you as a veteran or military spouse. When I first got out of the Navy, I spent 12 years in 10 different jobs in 4 different states. And I did not mention it in many of them that I was a veteran because I was told that my skills didn't translate when I first got out. And because I was a female, no one would understand why I was in the military. So there was a stigma around it. And there's a stigma around military spouses as well. Again, oh, you're only going to work for me for 2 years and you're going to leave. Well, in that 2 years, you as a military spouse can do so much progress and so much work in that amount of time that those employers will see value. But yeah, be proud of who you are. And if you've got a diverse ability, if you're neurodiverse or, you've got a justice impacted background, be proud. You deserve a second chance. We all deserve the opportunity to have a great career. So,
amen. I am the mother of an AUDHD adult child, and I'm a former K-12 teacher, and I have 9 Pennsylvania Department of Education certifications, including special ed.
Yeah.
So I kind of had a little bit of this, that, and the other thing. Hey, we've got people that want to come visit us here.
Yay.
So I'm going to bring up Sajith Kumar and M.E. Sheki. All right, let's see if we can, Sajith Kumar, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and ask your question.
Hi, Lynn. Hi, Robin. Thank you for having me on stage. So I'm a technical recruiter. So my question is this. This is something I also do careers. I'm a career strategist. I wouldn't call myself as a coach like Lynn does. But I would. My question to you is because you might have seen this a lot, Robin, in terms of transferable skills, right? Now, let's say you want to apply the same kind of transferable skills that you might advise military people. Let's say a person wants to jump the technology, the sector, or even a completely different field, right? What advices have you given to? I know that that is a big part of the role that you do, where you teach them how to leverage their transferable skills. So, if anybody is listening and they also want to jump, either be a role or a sector, how do they leverage on their transferable skills? Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Thank you so much. So, my first advice is don't believe anybody that tells you you don't have transferable skills. Don't believe anybody that says because you were a truck driver, you can't be anything else, or because you were in the infantry in the military, you can't do anything else but security when you get out. Everyone has transferable skills. It's a matter of how you project and communicate them. It's how you look at them as a value add for the next career. Not all the skills you earned as a construction laborer will transfer to another, a technical job, but there are skills that you have, including your soft skills. Always remember your soft skills as well. But with the tools out there, ChatGPT and all the AI that's out there, you could list all of your skills. And we have a skills translation. So that's what our skills tool does at talentsascend.com. We will translate your occupation into skills for you. And then you could take that list, plug it into ChatGPT and say, what other occupations can I use these skills in? So there's a lot of ways that you can, find out where your skills transfer. But the biggest thing I would say is you have transferable skills. You just need to do a little bit of homework on where they can transfer to.
Yeah.
Thank you very
great.
much for that answer.
All right. Mishaki, introduce yourself and go ahead with your question. Where are you from and what do you do? Or what are you looking to do? Oh, we can't hear you.
Can't hear him.
No, we can't hear you. Got to do something with your volume.
Or his not his speaker, his microphone maybe.
Yeah. I do my AirPods typically when I'm online because it's got the noise cancellation on it. Yesterday, my daughter had to deliver them to me. She said, I took them out of the car. I'm sorry. I'm like, I didn't take them to my office. So she had to deliver them to me, and then I had to charge them up because they weren't charged overnight. All right. You want to try again? No, we can't hear you, buddy.
We still can't hear you.
Okay, so maybe you put your question in the chat. Yeah. All right. So we have another question in the meantime. I'm currently focused on my job search on remote project manager roles, primary focus, or AI project manager roles, secondary focus, and hybrid roles in the Bay Area where I plan to relocate at the moment, but currently live in the Los Angeles area. ChatGPT is suggesting setting my location to United States. I'm going to put my 2 cents worth in before you respond, Robin.
Sure.
My son-in-law went from New Jersey to Toronto because he was madly in love with my daughter, and he lived up there, and they spent like a lot of money for an attorney so that he could gainfully find employment in Canada when they weren't married. But they had been together since he was 15 and she was 16.
Wow.
They're now 34 and 33, and I have 3 grandchildren. So it was a matter of, having people vouch that they've been together forever and ever and ever. So when he was moving from New Jersey to Toronto, he put Toronto on his LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
When they were moving back from Toronto back to the greater Philadelphia area, they put Greater Philadelphia on their profile before they had even moved.
Yeah.
She's with Insight Global. So she, is with that recruiting firm, and she's been there 12, 13 years. She no longer does recruiting. She's does leadership development, but he needed to find a job back in the greater Philadelphia area and started looking. So my feeling is it should be future forward, especially if you're paying your own way, to get to where you want to go. But that's my 2 cents worth. Robin, what do you say?
I agree. And we do ask when we have candidates fill out the profile on our platform, put where you live or where, like for a transitioning military person, where you're going to live, or a military spouse, if they know they're going to be, in Fort Worth, Texas, the next thing. Definitely you want to be forward thinking, because people are going to search on location to find people. You can also put remote on there. I don't know how on LinkedIn it does the location, but even in your tagline or somewhere in your profile, put the word remote, because as a keyword, people will look for that as well. So definitely forward looking. Don't always looking ahead.
Yes, always future forward. All right. Okay, so Mishaki still doesn't have a voice yet, but we have a question. Who is a better connection, a recruiter or someone higher up the target company? I've often noticed that the recruiter works on commission basis, though they knew about potential vacancies, but the candidate was not referred due to low percentage. I'm not exactly precisely sure that.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, if you know who the recruiter is, I guess it depends. Does that recruiter work for the hiring company, or do they work for a talent sourcing company? and the hiring company is their client. So if the recruiter works as a talent sourcing partner, you definitely want to work with them, because they're not going to send, if you try to go to the company directly, they're just going to send you back to whoever they're having outsourced that position. So, if you're working with an inside recruiter, I would ask why you want to go around them. That may be, think about that. Find somebody else that you may know that works in the company, and ask them for how does it work? If I don't hear from the recruiter, I really want to work for this company, how do I get in? Find somebody else that you can build a relationship with at that company before you start trying to go hierarchy and go around somebody's, that's not a good feeling. So I would say
their livelihood, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
When my daughter was a recruiter, I mean, she was hustling because it was commission.
Yeah.
When the recruiting company charges somebody out to a company, and then they have the amount that they pay to the person, the candidate, okay? The difference between that is a spread, and my daughter earned a percentage on that spread. And so, she was absolutely a hustler, looking for people that were truly unemployed, that were qualified for the position.
Yeah.
So, if somebody's working hard for you, once a recruiter contacts you, you don't want to turn around and stab them in the back because they're the ones that are going to bat for you, right? Especially, you can tell the recruiter about salary, for real, and because they know what the hiring manager is. And you know what? A recruiter will want you to have the highest salary because they get the commission on the higher salary.
Yep.
So it's really, nice thing to work with a recruiter.
Lynn, it looks like Mishaki put his comment in the private chat. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He says, I recently moved here, USA, from Norway, where I was studying, just recently graduated with an MBA, but I don't have work experience at all, as I was schooling most of the time. How can I start? Well, you still have skills.
You
right?
do. Yes, absolutely.
And your projects.
So one, you got to network. That's, your best path there is to network with people to try to help you. If you've got contacts through your MBA program, even if they were in Norway or wherever you were studying, they likely have contacts here in the US that they can help you with. Mentors that you may have, people that, helped you come to the US, could be options there. You could also start to maybe volunteer at an organization just to make some connections or, get some total experience, but you have skills. You just have to figure out how to define them for the position that you're looking to get.
Amen. All right. I'm looking at the time, and I got to go to the post office to deliver my little turquoise envelopes.
Yeah.
So, to wrap up, are you open to people connecting with you on LinkedIn? And please recap your website info.
Yeah, absolutely. Love connecting, love helping. So please do. Again, it's Robin J. Grable on LinkedIn. So look for me there. Our nonprofit is theascendcollective.org. And that's where we've got a lot of our resources. And then if you want to create a profile in our platform and be automatically matched to careers, it's talentsascend.com. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lynn.
And also, I'll wrap up with a couple other URLs. So thoughtleadershipbranding.club is one of the co-promoters of this event. And I've been involved in that group for over 4.5 years. I can't believe it. Yeah, come January, it'll be 5 years, I think. And also greatcareers.org. So take a look at our events page, 18 to 25 events a month, though I still have to wrap up and put up November stuff when I get a chance. And take a look at our contact page, because that has all our different social media and the meetup and our newsletter and all that. So I cannot go without saying, Robin, thank you for your service. I'm big a supporter of veterans, as I said, dvvc.org, and I've already put the event in the dvvc.org calendar. You'll see that on their site, but I have to add all the details on it and the link when I build the event. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I do have somebody scheduled for, let's see, let me go to my November calendar here. And I have Chip Mardis. And let me see, let me pull him up. I got to get some information from him. But Chip is the founder of Blue United Sourcing, and he's also passionate about putting military spouses and vets to work. Hey, it is Veterans Day in November, so I would like to do my duty and support getting veterans hired and mil spouses. So thank you again, everybody, for coming. And when I find a hot minute in between my sessions on line today, I will absolutely reply with links and comments and whatnot. But I'm going to the post office right now.
Thank you, Lynne.